Hey, can I interest you in a bow build? You want to go fast? Zoom zoom? Lightning arrow. By Havoc. Zoom zoom? Hi, Zizaran here with another build collab, this time featuring Havoc 616, and this is a Lightning Arrow Deadeye. This is an insanely strong class and a strong build for clearing, blasting, and as you can see in the background, just looks amazing and feels amazing to play. This does come with some warnings. I don't recommend this as a beginner build if you're a completely new player, as the build is a little bit advanced. That is also because it has attack-based, it's not a spell-based build, so it doesn't gain its damage from leveling and things like that. So you will need to understand a little bit on how to craft gear, etc. We are having a pretty comprehensive build guide here, but, you know, it has not an insane amount of damage, not an insane amount of tank. This is a blaster build, and boy, does it feel good. Now, this build and the way this is set up can actually get you all 4 Watchstones, but keep in mind that it is not a bosser build. And you might want a secondary character to do Ubers and bosses and things like that on. But this will farm everything and just blast down maps and just have a generally good time. Now, next up, we're going to hear from Havoc about how the build plays for maps and for bosses.
First, as always, don't get hit. Then, right-click Lightning Arrow, run around, and get rich. It's that easy. As you're clearing, Mana-Forged arrows will automate your other bow skills, provide additional clear and single target damage. Additionally, make sure to use Blinker on Flame Dash off cooldown to zip around. Now on bosses, there are a couple of things to consider. First, don't get hit. Secondly, you jump up either Returning Projectiles or Mirage Archer for barrage support for a ton of single target damage. And third, we need to maintain Silver Flask and Diamond Flask uptime, while also periodically using Focus for even more damage.
So there you have it. It's pretty straightforward and a lot of fun. But Havoc, what has changed since last league with Lightning Arrow?
The main change this league is the addition of Call to Arms and Enduring Cry for more physical damage mitigation. However, this does add a bit more socket pressure to the build, so we have to change our Mana-Forged gem links a little bit. But other than that, nothing has really changed. The build still blasts, zooms. It's great.
Awesome. So this is Path of Building. If you aren't familiar with it, we do have a video covering how it works and where you should use it. It is a super powerful tool. You will pretty much, not mandatory, but most of us use it. It's very good. So go download that. And Havoc has here done a very nice step-by-step of the build. So you know exactly where to put points and where to put your ascendancy points at different times in the build. So very easy to follow. We can go all the way here. So for example, this is what it should look like when you're about to kill Eater and Exarch. And at the point you're going to be doing Maven and Uber Elder, you should be around here. And there's other endgame setups as well. If you look through the skill setup, we're early on starting with Galvanic Arrow and Shrapnel as well. And Arrow Nova is really big for damage early, so make sure you grab that. And you have the Mana-Forged setup as well, so that'll basically be automated. Quite nice. And then we have Dash, and it changes to Frostblink at level 8. Next up, you can see that you switch to Lightning Arrow around level 12, and then you have a lot of different skills here, and everything is grouped up in the different skill sets, so you don't end up with a superfluous amount of gems, just the ones you actually need. Pretty easy to follow. Here are the endgame setup you can see here as well, and this is like not anything crazy to pad the damage or anything like that, no awakened gems. Very set up for being a starter. There's an early game set here explaining some things that you want early. Basically, all you want is a short bow. Even if a short bow has nothing crazy on it, it is going to be really good because we're looking for a high attack speed weapon. But, you know, anything like attack speed, lightning, cold, fire damage to attacks, all those are good. And flat damage is good on both the bow and the quiver. Other than that, on all your other pieces, all you're looking for during the campaign is life and resists. You're going to need a Lapis Amulet for some intelligence. Iron Rings early will make a big difference. And yeah, that's pretty much all you're looking for. Now, for the Eater and Exarch, this is an example of a bow you would like to have before doing the Quest Eater, Quest Exarch, and that type of stuff. So pretty straightforward. This is just an essence with hitting attack speed, and then you craft the crit chance. And then for the Maven Uber Elder one, you can see it's getting a little bit more. But all the gear is pretty straightforward here. Now, This is a little bit more squishy, etc. That's why we don't necessarily recommend this for new players. And it might be something that you want to play later in the league. At this point, you might have different potential leveling uniques. So we've added one different leveling unique for each slot here of what could be good to level with. And Havoc has put in loads of late game uniques that could be really great just to blast and get extra damage for your build. Harry's Ire especially is just so nice with the suppression and high flat damage to cold. If you go to the notes section, Havoc has put a lot of work in, putting in loads of different things here, loads of information, tips for gear, things you could be doing wrong, etc. So Havoc, what are some easy mistakes people do on this build?
The most common mistake I actually see is not capping your defensive stats, such as capping suppression, or forgoing, defensive buffs such as Arctic armor, missing Gravicious craft on your chest or Curl craft on your helmet, for if it's taken as Ellie. Missing the defensive buffs is probably the biggest mistake I see, and if you do miss them, what ends up happening is you will just end up dying a lot. So once you get them, you will die significantly less. But even with all the defensive buffs, you also just want to try to, not get hit, right? This is a ranged build, play ranged.
Awesome. So for example, here you can see some of the crafts he was talking about with the physical damage from hits taken as fire. If you don't know why this is good, this is usually used on builds that have very little armor, very little phys mitigation in general, like for example, endurance charges, which thankfully we are getting on this build now, which is a big buff to this build's defenses. But what this does is it shifts your damage from physical damage taken as fire and lightning, which is then taken against your high resistances, which is then 75. If you're wondering how focus works, what that does is once it's crafted on any item or unveiled on any item, it'll appear on your toolbar. It'll look like this. It's like that little orange icon, and it'll be an ability that you can press with a cooldown. You can also see loads of like Eldritch and Exarch implicits here, so make sure you look through all the gear. Another thing that's great is you can get these mods where you gain fast charges when you deal a critical strike. That is so that you can have fast up on bosses instead of having just, you use them twice and then they're out for the rest of the fight. So rolling that can be quite good. And things like Jade Flask with gain 2 charges when you're hit by an enemy is great for mapping, because you are going to be hit a okay amount by like the smaller trash monsters. So I hope you guys enjoyed this collab with Havoc616. He is playing this himself on Leaguestarter, so you can watch him do the progression, watch it in action, and just see him kick ass. He's one of the fastest players in the game, and if you have any questions about the build, you'll be able to ask questions from him or his chat. Obviously, he might be too busy racing for first 100 or something like that, but just so much work went into this guide, and it just looks really good. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you've played similar builds to this in the comments below, like in the past leagues, and you had a blast with it. And it really is a blaster. So a huge thank you to Havoc for this collab, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Go make sure you give him a lot of love. Sub if you like the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do. And good luck in Necropolis League.